Hi, everyone, and welcome to the P&G Alumni Coaching Webinar. I'm Ileana Rojas, your host today, and I'm so excited and honored to be joined by 3 of our 13 coaches that support this program. And we're going to talk about a very relevant topic, celebrating this past International Women's Day. And currently here in the US, where I'm located, we continue to celebrate Women's Month. And the topic is unleashing the power of your network. Now, before we start our conversation, let me tell you about the P&G Alumni Coaching Team. We're a trusted and accomplished group of globally experienced former P&G women leaders who provide certified coaching services to P&G alumni. And we do this as part of a bigger mission of the P&G Alumni Network, which is a nonprofit founded by former P&G employees to share ideas, talents, and resources with each other, our communities, and philanthropy efforts. So today, I'm excited to welcome some of my fellow coaches. Let me start by welcoming Anna Kotskaya. Anna has 20 years of corporate experience in regional and global roles in Fortune 200 companies in the areas of change management, service delivery, organizational and operational transformation, innovation, workplace strategy, and people development. Currently, as a certified coach, she works with senior leaders who want to take important decisions in their life, make a career pivot, or increase effectiveness and improve relationships in new cross-cultural assignments. Anna, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Ileana.
Our next panelist is Esther Gette. Esther has 20 years of experience as a global marketing executive in Fortune 500 companies, playing key roles in strategic leadership as well as operations and line management. She is a certified professional coach and leadership development consultant who works with international leaders, particularly women leaders, in supporting their professional and personal growth. Esther, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
And finally, Sophia To. Sophia is a certified global executive and leadership development coach. She is also a trainer and consultant for high-performing teams in psychological safety and inclusive leadership. She spent 20 years in finance and accounting, 15 of those in Procter & Gamble, and 5 years after with 2 other companies. Thank you, Sophia, for being with us here today.
Thank you, Ileana.
And as your host, I'm Ileana Rojas. I have 20 years of corporate experience in also Fortune 500 companies and different leadership roles, both in Mexico and in the US. And I'm currently a certified executive and leadership coach, a diversity and inclusion consultant, and a board member and advisor to many organizations centered in the development of women and the Hispanic community. So I'm very excited to welcome everybody here. Ladies, let's begin.
Yes.
Now, this past March 8th, we celebrated International Women's Day. And here in the US, where I live, the celebration continues throughout the whole month. And it is an important moment in my mind to pause and acknowledge women's achievements, but also it's an important moment of reflection, of awareness and attention to the many issues and barriers that women face to reach their professional and also their personal goals. And one of the things that I've come to love about March is the celebration. In this celebration is the feeling that we're not alone on our journey. And that if we intentionally build our networks and lean on each other, there really is no stopping us. Now, I have to say that as an introvert myself, it has really taken me decades to embrace this thought and recognize that it is really a critical element to achieving success. So I think all the nuggets of information that you're going to share with us today are also going to personally help me as well as I continue to build my networks. So I want to start with asking you, I've heard from a lot of women that I speak with that have been very, very successful in achieving their career goals, that they mention always that they don't do it alone, that it's not only about them. And they mention how they have powerful networks supporting them and pushing them behind them. So, what in your mind are some of the support roles that women need to have in their life that are instrumental to their success? And I would love to start with you, Esther.
Oh, I think there are so many roles. In fact, it definitely starts at home. It starts with the parents, the kind of network you grew up with. Many senior women that I work with talk about their father figures, how instrumental they were in instigating and instilling confidence and really a level of comfort in claiming what they want. And then moving forward, of course, within an organization, it is absolutely critical to have a boss who supports you, who thinks highly of you, and who's also willing to go an extra mile. If you have only a boss who thinks you're all right, this person will never go and fight for you in calibration conversations. So it's critical to be in a very strong relationship with your boss and to expand beyond that and really look for mentors, sponsors, as well as people that can serve as coaches. And let's not forget, of course, at home, we all need people at home that support what we do, who support us when we have a moment where we are maybe a little bit down or things are overwhelming. So that is also absolutely critical.
Absolutely. How about you, Sophia?
Yeah, I completely agree with Esther. Our family and friends are definitely our supporter, our safety net, even. And every time when we're down, they are the fuel that give us energized again to continue on our career journey. And I also would like to add about the group of network or people that we gather together to become our board of advisors. I don't call it board of directors because they don't really direct us what to do, but they give us advice so that we can be a little bit more clear in our journey. And we also have accountability partners where people will give us transparent advice for us to continue on. That for me is a really big factor in terms of when I'm thinking about my career, when I'm like moving on in my career, because I really do feel that over the years, not only within the companies that I work at, now that we have LinkedIn, right, which is tremendous, like open network for us to go and identify people that we can make friends with. Like people I met on LinkedIn and then become real friends. I have more than probably two hands full of them who become real friends along the way over the years, who become part of my informal board of advisors. So agree with you.
Thank you. And you've both mentioned some incredible things that I want to sort of digest throughout the conversation. And Esther, you specifically started to talk about, having mentors, having sponsors, and having other people beyond your boss. And I think that's critically important because when we have a supportive boss, that's really good. But in many cases, that doesn't happen, right? You have a boss that's there but doesn't necessarily advocate for you or support you in your journey. And as women, we need to have and tap into these other, people that can help you and support you. Can you share with us a little bit more about the differences? Because I hear this question all the time in terms of, what are the difference between mentoring and sponsoring and even coaches and all of these people that we need to have around us? What are their roles?
Sure. First of all of them are very important and they serve a slightly different role. So I think most of us are familiar with the term mentor. So mentor is typically somebody who is more senior, works in the same industry, probably even in the same organization as you, and gives you concrete advice. So you go to your mentor, you ask a question, the mentor is willing to tell you and help you on the spot with what they would do in your shoes, in their role. And I actually heard just as the other day I was reading that women tend to have a lot of mentors or more mentors than sponsors, and I think it's therefore very important that I emphasize what the difference is, because sponsors are more senior stakeholders, and they actually tend to make career choices happen for you. So they pave the way, they facilitate visibility for you. So these are the ones that we'd like to have in our organizations because they enable us to be exposed to interesting assignments. And that's where we can actually prove how great we're doing. So having sponsors is definitely an absolutely must-have. And in my opinion, I don't think you can have enough. So it's also important not to just limit yourselves on one or two people in the organization, because we all know how fast things are changing. People retire, move to another organization, and your wonderful network suddenly implodes. So you need to be constantly managing and nurturing it. And of course, as a coach, I'm happy to, save the best for last. Working with an external coach definitely is very, very helpful in helping create more self-awareness, and really looking at what might be some internal obstacles that hold you back. But also more and more organizations now nurture coaching as a managerial skill. So you might meet people, either your colleagues or even your bosses, that employ lots of coaching skills. And here the idea is to really empower you through powerful questions to find solutions yourself. So having that is a wonderful support network that will advance you in your career.
And you mentioned a very interesting point about women having more mentors than sponsors. And I want to even take it a step further from a cultural perspective. I mean, being a Hispanic myself, I didn't even know any of these concepts until I moved to the US 11 years ago, where I started to hear about mentors and sponsors. Well, actually, sponsors I heard about 5 years ago only. So I think that's very important, that even from a cultural perspective, we recognize when we have people in our teams that are from different cultures, where maybe these concepts are not necessarily the traditional or not very known, that we as leaders also encourage the women in our teams to look for those and open the spaces to know that they need to go beyond just having mentors or people that support them. So thank you for making those, letting us know like the differences of who we need to have in our lives. So being intentional in this matter is really important. It's not something that just happens. And I loved what you said at the beginning about establishing your personal board of advisors. And that becomes critically important for a woman's professional growth and being able to accelerate the way that we're going. It's not that we can't do it on our own, but we definitely can get there faster if we have all of these people around us supporting us. So how do we create this? I would love to hear some thoughts, especially from seasoned professional like you. Let's start with Anna.
Well, what you mentioned, Iliana, that you did not even know what sponsor is, like back to the beginning of your career. And so what I noticed that some of us, we find sponsor without knowing that we found sponsors, right? So just we have one because we work, our work is great, our results are good, we are passionate. But exactly as you said, that what I learned hard way, that it's better if you intentionally find sponsor. So you have to be bold and you have to be creative. Sometimes we are approaching our future sponsors with an idea, and I would like to share, I think it's super creative way of finding a sponsor of one of my clients. So she attended executive leadership program in one of European school, and she approached her one of her executive senior colleagues with the suggestion that she would share with him the elements of the programs in a one-on-one meeting, and the respective ideas that came to her mind while she communicated with the students of this program. So the guy was amazed, he was curious because it was just outside of the box, and this person became her sponsor and actually advocate her future promotions, her new very visible program and project. Impressive.
That's great.
That's a great example. Thank you so much. How about you, Sophia? Do you have any additional thoughts?
Sure. Yeah, and I didn't know about the difference between mentors and sponsors too initially, but I did hear something. Someone actually said that when you think about mentors, mentors are someone who talk to you, give you advice. Sponsors are someone who talk about you when you're not in the room. So I thought that was just a really powerful concept because it brings to mind that you don't have to be a high power person to be a sponsor. We can all be sponsors for each other. When we're recommending someone, when a project came out, we say, oh, I know somebody who will be great at this. So I do feel that that concept of sponsors is very powerful. It's also really broad based where everyone can be sponsored for anyone. So I love that concept. And in terms of board of advisors, if I think about my career, my corporate career, and then my entrepreneurial career, at P&G, I was really fortunate. I have great mentors, I have great sponsors, and sometimes they are the same person. And I also have a group of friends at P&G who we kind of encourage each other in our career journey. We push each other on our growth and development. So that those people serve as part of my board of advisors. And now that I'm an entrepreneur, my board of advisors probably double in size because now I need a lot more help. And if I think about the 5 types of roles that your board of advisors can play, one person can play multiple roles. You have your mentors as your sponsor and your sponsors who are there to recommend you, to give you advice. You have your connectors because especially when you enter into a field that you're not familiar with, you want to find that somebody who is actually familiar with the ecosystem, who can introduce you to the right group of people. So those are the connectors in your board of advisors. And you also want your friends and families. My kids, my husband, they are definitely in my board of advisors because what I do actually will impact them too. So that they're definitely in my board of advisors, serving as my like cheerleaders too. And then you have that group of cheerleaders who are celebrating your small wins with you. But last, but also very important, is that trusted credit that you have in your circle. People who cares for you, knows your value, but they will say things to try to kind of like pull you down on the ground and for you to identify your blind spot. I love that when I get some radical candle from my trusted credits in my circles because they help me to see things that I may not be seeing. And last but not least, coaching too. I do think that coaching provides a safe space for someone to kind of explore and grow without having to take that interpersonal risk in terms of trying to think about their careers.
And
And
I would like to add
go
on
ahead.
it, Ileana, yeah. So what I like, Sophia, what you mentioned, that our sponsors or our mentors or our coaches, they are very open in sharing with us what are our blind spots. This is one of, and because we trust them, we take it easier from them. That because everyone knows that feedback is a very tough, especially negative feedback is very tough conversation, right? So this is what resonated with me. And another thing that resonated with me, and I would also like to give you an example on how we sometimes develop sponsors without probably knowing that when one of my clients, she wanted a new challenge and assignment. And she was looking for this assignment within her business line, while her mentor advised her to change the business line. And she was like a bit like on a crossroad, what to do. And he explained to her that she will acquire new experience and then she will accelerate her future promotion. So she decided to go for it, and she asked for mentorship in this new potential business line. And the person became so impressed with her passion for change and her skills, strengths. He became a sponsor. And when she did not even know, the opportunity in the company popped up that there was a new strategic department that company, multinational company, decided to create, and she was offered to apply to the head of this department, simply because like it started with mentorship conversation, and then it's continuous evolved into sponsorship and this new opportunity.
And I love the examples that you've both shared, because what I'm hearing is, one, there has to be an important level of trust in the relationship, either with mentors, sponsors, advisors. Like it's people that you've taken the time, you've been intentional about building that relationship, so that they get to know you, they get to know you deeply, who you are, what you do, what are your strengths, what are your passions, your purpose, what you're good at. And the other thing that I hear as well is that they have to be mutually beneficial relationships. Right. And in some of the examples that I heard, and I think, Anna, this was in your first example, there's this, it's not only about what you can do for me, but what I can also do for you, right? It's mutually beneficial. And one more thing that I'd like to add is on, and that I keep that in the back of my mind as well, is it has to be people that share your same values, that share in some way similar beliefs and similar goals, so that there is also that level of synergy and in interest and compatibility, so to speak, in the relationship, right? Not everybody can be your mentor, not everybody can be your sponsor. There needs to be like those deeper ties that bring both people together. This is awesome. Thank you. So let's get into the advice. How do we grow our network? And especially for those of us who are introverted, and that, you know, it takes a little bit more energy to be able to build these mutually beneficial relationships. What do you advise? What has worked for you? What have you seen has worked, and some best practices? Esther, I would love to start with you.
Thank you. I think, first of all, as you said, intentional. You have to be intentional about it. Most of us, when we look at our network, it's a result of the past, you know, who we worked with, who we met accidentally or strategically, most of the time actually accidentally. And we tend to click with those that we like, that we have an instinct, immediate connection with. So these are also the people that stay in our network. But I think how to build it is to actually have a bit of a think, like, okay, who would I like to know? Who would be, how should my strategic network look like? Who is important for me to know? Who I want to be actually a part with? And that you do typically, you can do a stakeholder map or a network. You can draw it. Actually, it's a fun exercise to do, and then see, okay, I want to get to know this person. Who can maybe introduce me? What are ways to meet this person? Or am I feeling comfortable to reach out directly? Because most people genuinely would like to help, and people also generally like to talk about themselves. So there's an angle to reach out to somebody and say, you know, being very genuine and sincere, saying, I would love to talk to you, I would love to meet you and hear about you, your story, and then start if this is actually a beneficial relationship that could grow. That would be my first tip or advice.
Thank you. Anna, how about you?
I like about intentional network building. And, you know, there are different situations in our life and career. And we most likely jump and activate our networking when we are in transition. And we're like, we know what to do. Like, who are this HR, like who are our friends who recently changed job, who just started new business. And I think that P&G Alumni is a fantastic community to find help and advice. But I agree with Esther. I encourage everyone to think intentionally long term, who you would like to become in 5-10 years. How would you like to be known? Like expert in which area, or like you want, which legacy you want to leave behind. And you probably will have idea about your future stakeholders. So coming back to this mapping that Esther is talking about, I 100% agree with you. And I have another 2 very practical advice. First of all, when you're on the conference or workshop or webinars, when you are interested in something, ask people meaningful questions. Like, what are your expectations from this event? In addition to what Esther just said, ask something about the topic, what made them interested in their topic if they are presenters. And then on LinkedIn, when you follow up, when you connect, then you remind them about this conversation. So you will remember why you connected with this person, and they will remember you. One practical advice. And another practical advice is be yourself a connector. So if you know that this person from your network will benefit from working with that person, or they will learn from each other, or for example, you know that someone in the country where your connection is relocated and would be, you know, Sophia, we were talking about it with you. So you can connect people, and in that way you also exponentially grow your network.
Love it. Love it. Go ahead, Esther, and then we'll go with Sophia for final remarks before we wrap this up. Go ahead.
I wanted to build on what Anna was saying, because often what I hear from there's a constraint that holds people back, saying, oh, I feel I don't have anything to offer. Why would this person even be willing to meet me or talk to me? He or she is so much more senior. I'm so much more junior. Well, in fact, building on what Anna is saying, you bring in a junior perspective that the senior person does not have anymore. They don't know what's going on in the organization. So your perspective is unique, special, and highly valuable. So really believe in it and offer it to these senior stakeholders. They will embrace it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Sophia, final remarks. Close us up.
Pressure. Okay. So yeah, I think we talk about intentionally mapping out your stakeholders list, but once we say we want to go to approach this person, they need to be bigger than just a name on the list. Now we have to ask about our intention, because paradoxically, when you're dealing with another person, they are a human being. We need to come off as we are approaching them as a fellow human being, but not just a name on the list. So it means that the relationships that we want to build is not transactional. It's actually an ongoing relationship that we want to build with them. So I have a set of acronyms that I use when I think about building authentic connection that I thought is great, easy to remember. It's trust, TRUST. So first T is truth. Are you approaching them as a real person? Do you come off as authentic and honest? That's because that's the first test that we all give someone, right? When they approach us, are they real? Like, what do they want from me? And then the second one is R, is respect. Are we respecting them as a fellow human being? Do we celebrate the richness of their cultural background experiences? Do we give them that respect as a human being and honor their stories? And the third one is you. You is understanding. Do we, as a coach, we all do this? Do we listen actively and ask clarifying questions? Do we actually try to understand what they care about and really put that thoughts and authenticity into our interaction? And S is support, is basically what you said, Anna, we can serve as supporter. We always have something to bring on the table. Can we think of a way on what we can give, and even in a very small way, to help support this person? So forget about what we can take from them. Just think about what we can give them. And then the last one, the second T, is thanks. Do we thank them for the time and effort that they spend with us? Because I think it's so important for us to appreciate someone, because everyone wants to have that positive experiences when they think about someone, which will brings me to my final quote from Maya Angelou. People will not remember what you have said or done. They will always remember how you made them feel.
Thank you. Thank you so, so much. And I'm going to use your last T to thank all of you so much, Anna, Esther, Sophia, for joining me in this conversation. And I hope that it has left our audience with great tips, advice, things to think about so that they can put it into practice and become more intentional into building your strategic network. Thank you so much. And feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions on this and many other relevant topics, and sign up for your free consultation. The website is on the screen. This program will continue throughout the rest of this year. 13 coaches that are available to you and to be part of that personal board of advisors to help you succeed in anything that you have in mind for this 2023. So thank you so much for being with us today. This is Ileana Rojas, your host today for this P&G Alumni Coaching webinar. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day wherever in the world you are. Have a good one.